Yo, 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 what is up, everybody? This is Colin, back at it again with episode 22 of A New Direction, the podcast where I talk about all sorts of things and just give my opinion and advice on different things and whatnot. And today I have a different episode. We're doing a deep dive today, and I'll get into that here in just a few minutes. But first, I want to do my music recommendation as usual. And today I'm recommending an EP. It's not a full-length album, but it is incredibly good. It's called A Tear in the Fabric of Life by a band called Knocked Loose. And Knocked Loose is typically, I would say, associated with metalcore. Like, they have a more metalcore sound, and I've probably even said before that, I'm not really a huge fan of metalcore anymore. It used to be a big musical interest of mine. Like, I was really into it back when I was younger, like later into middle school, I guess, like mid to late middle school, I was really into metalcore. And so this album, though, is not traditional like metalcore. Like, it's incredibly heavy all the way through. All of the tracks just, I believe there's 5 of them. All of them are just incredible. They're just heavy all the way through. The riffs are catchy and just brutal. Like, I don't even know how to, like, it's just a brutal, angry album. And you can definitely feel like the anger and bitterness from the vocalist for sure. He's very into it. But it is incredibly good. I highly recommend it to anybody who wants something just incredibly heavy to listen to. You really can't go wrong here. I would give it an 8.5 out of 10. But with that being said, we're going to move on. And so the deep dive is the second sort of part of the video, I guess. But before I get into that, I first want to say that my Greco Les Paul Custom from Japan has arrived. I've had it about a week now, I would say. So I've had some time to play it. Kind of get used to it, get a feel for how it plays and performs, and I must say I am absolutely blown away by this guitar. It is without a doubt the best guitar I've ever played. It just, something about it, it's the vintage, I had talked about how I was after the vintage, the vintage feel, and this guitar absolutely has it in spades. Comparable, like, I would say even superior to the Gibson ES335 that my grandfather has. And I'm not saying that to like put down on that guitar. That guitar is easily up there. Easy second best. And it's really good. Like, going back and forth, they definitely feel a little different. I was expecting a really big baseball bat neck on this guitar, but to my pleasant surprise, it was actually incredibly thin. Or at least compared to most I guess Les Pauls that I've played. It's obviously not like a Ibanez Wizard neck like what I have on my RG, which is just like a flat, just like it's stupid how thin that neck is. It's just a shredder's dream. I'm not a shredder, so the thin necks, I appreciate them a lot because they allow bar chords. They allow me to play bar chords a little easier. I have really big hands, so I like thicker necks as well, but the thin neck on this guitar especially is just really comfortable. My hand doesn't get fatigued while I'm playing. The bar chords are easy, like I said. And, I mean, you have really good upper fret access with the cutaway, and everything is just really comfortable. And I mean, that kind of brings up the condition of this guitar. For 43 years old, so 1978 model, for 43 years of age, this guitar is in like damn near mint condition. Like, there is not a chip on it. There is not paint missing anywhere. It's not on the front, on the the top, the sides of the body, the back. The back has one small scratch that runs from like the cutaway at the neck joint. There's like the cutaway, it runs like a little bit like that across the body, but it is literally like almost invisible. Like, it's pretty much to the clear coat, so you would honestly never know it's even there, because it's, for one, it's on the back of the guitar, and for two, I mean, it's just really kind of out of the way, and it's hard to see. So other than that, that is really the only spot on this guitar. There's no even like dings, really. Like, there's like a few, I guess dings. There's like one ding, I think, on the front, maybe, like, or maybe it's the back. I think it's the back, actually. There's like a ding near the horn on the back, I think. But or not the horn, the body where it goes up into the neck, not the cutaway side. But Anyway, the other than that, I mean, it's in like immaculate condition. The finish is in great shape. It's obviously a very old guitar. 43 years is a long time for an instrument to be around, and so it has the original pickups, the original tuners, the original hardware, the original wiring, as far as I know. I mean, everything is factory on this guitar, and it is incredible. The pickups are fantastic. Like I was kind of scared, I guess, because I had read where people had talked about wanting to replace the stock pickups in their Greco guitars because they weren't great, but I have no idea what they're talking about. These pickups are fantastic. You can throw as much gain on them as you want, and they will just retain the clarity. You can hear every note. It's not a muddy mess. It's incredible how good it sounds. And then the cleans are great, all three positions. This is the first guitar I've ever played where I've actually wanted to use other than the bridge pickup. Like the middle has that really clean, like just, I don't know. It's a very crisp, clean sound. Obviously, it's not like a single coil Strat, but it's very clean, very comfortable, and just not hard on the ear. It's not harsh. And then the neck is like almost like a piano. Like it's just it like sends a shiver down my spine thinking about it. And I have a pretty nice setup as far as amp and pedals go. I have a Marshall DSL 100 head that I got used for like $600. I think I got a really good deal on it. It's in really good shape. Has the foot switch and everything. So that's a tube amp. And then I have a Harley Benton 2x12 with the vintage 30 speakers. So obviously I'm playing harder music with those speakers. But I run that. And then I have a SD1 Boss pedal that I run as like a boost into a DS1. So I kind of caught the Euronymous sort of setup going, although he had an HM2 rather than a DS1. And the HM2 is a really nice pedal that I've thought about getting, but they're really expensive because they don't produce them anymore, other than the Wazacraft high-end made in Japan by hand versions that are like $200 or $300 or something like that. And so the used ones are also kind of high in price. So I'm not going to get one of those anytime soon. The DS1 is still perfect for my use right now. But I get an incredibly good tone, like black metal tone that I like, that I was kind of going for with that setup. It works very well, and this guitar very much complements it with the PAF just creaminess. It's so good, the pickups. I mean, I'm blown away. To anybody who has never played one of these guitars, this was the first guitar that I had ever actually bought sight unseen. So I really could not have been any more satisfied. It's amazing. It's perfect. And I mean, I guess something about it, like I was just attracted to that guitar like immediately, and so buying it, I guess, I don't know, it was just like a connection that I had with it or something. But it's an amazing guitar. So to anybody who is interested in trying a Japanese guitar like a Greco, Greco's the only one I can really speak of out of my experience, but they are absolutely amazing guitars if you get one like mine. I've heard that some of them are really good, some of them are not so good, but if you get one like mine is incredible. It is easily as good as any Gibson I've ever played. So, other than my grandfather's Gibson, I've played a few others in music stores. I've played the new Les Paul standards, like the Standard 60s. This guitar easily is up there with that, if not better. Just as far as the price to performance, like, you can't go wrong here. So, I'll definitely probably do like a full length like review on this guitar at some point. Hopefully soon. It might take some time because I'd have to figure out how to record some audio demos. My amp is in a completely different room, and this mic is like on a boom arm on my desk, and I don't really have a laptop right now, so maybe I can rig something up with my phone. But or maybe I can record like some DI, like direct VST type digital effects through my computer. But regardless, we'll see if I can get that figured out and bring a full-length review on it, because I think that would be really, really good for somebody who is interested in one of these guitars. But with that being said, we're going to jump into the deep dive now. And so this is going to be probably a pretty long episode. I don't know how long we're going because, like I said, I'm still kind of figuring out the lighting. I said that in one of the past episodes. So the notepad is lighting my face right now. And so I'm not going to check the OBS time. We're just going to talk, and we're just going to see how it goes. But today we're going to be doing like a deep dive on my school experiences. And so what I have written is my school experiences, like memories from, my time in school from, kindergarten on, my favorite classes I had, my least favorite classes, my favorite teachers, least favorite teachers. And obviously I'm going to do my absolute best not to name drop anybody in this video. I don't want to be considered slanderous. And so on the off chance that I do accidentally do that, I'm not talking trash. I'm not, I will be very constructive in my feedback. I'm not trying to slander you or anything like that. So if I do slip up, that's that. But with that being said, we're going to dive right in. So for those of you who are new here, I am a freshman college student at a technical college. And so I've graduated high school at this point, and so I can kind of look back on my time through, I guess, like primary school, and kind of have a really good view of, I guess, just like a viewpoint of how it all went down and kind of where I developed and everything, and different events that were particularly good for me and not so good for me. But we'll just kind of dive right in with, my kindergarten, I guess my elementary school rather. Elementary school, I have, honestly, a lot of memories from. I had some really good teachers all the way through elementary school. I was in a public school at that point. And so, I remember my kindergarten teacher, we'll call him Mr. W. Mr. W was also my first grade teacher. He moved up the year that I went to first grade, so he actually followed my class, and I had him for 2 years. But he was a really good teacher. I remember he had a teaching assistant, we'll call her Miss T, and she was really cool. I remember being more, I guess, willing to approach her a little bit. She seemed a bit nicer than Mr. W did at first, although I came to really, really like Mr. W a lot. He was a really great guy, and until the school that I went to closed, I believe he was actually the principal at that time. So he kind of worked his way up, but he was a really great guy. He was a really good teacher. Definitely got a good fundamental basic foundation from him as far as moving up with, reading and understanding, writing, the basics of all that stuff. He definitely nailed it as far as, teaching those basic skills went. And I made friends. I remember my first day of kindergarten, I went into school and I became friends with this guy named Spencer. He was my best friend for a long time, actually. I was really good friends with Spencer through elementary school. And then after elementary school, we kind of fell off. But I remember the first day of kindergarten, like he was my first friend that I ever made, my first day. And I was kind of scared to go in. And, my mom was all emotional because, our baby's going to school. And I was going to school. That is for sure true. I was very nervous and very unsure. That was definitely an entirely new experience for me, having to be away from my parents. And, my dad worked. And so I was kind of used to him, having his work shift through the day. But, my mom was always usually at home, at least at this point that I recall. So, it was definitely different having to start going to school. And I remember, kindergarten, first grade, second grade, maybe even to third grade, I actually really, really enjoyed having homework. And my brother, so Connor at the time, he was in high school, middle school. Actually, he might have been in high school at this point. I think Connor was in high school. He would always tell me, he's like, you're gonna, you better enjoy it while you can, because homework sucks, because, he's a high school, so he knows. And, I never really listened to him, and I really enjoyed my homework. Like, I remember, granted, it was all, like, really basic homework. Like, I don't even know, like, coloring in the dots, and, like, you had, like, an agenda, and you had to, just basic math and stuff. It was really easy stuff. That I didn't really have any sort of issues with, and so I enjoyed homework at that time. It was kind of fun and I guess engaging for my young brain. But there were some notable things in elementary school that happened. I went to so I ended up transferring from a public school to like a charter school. And so I went to that school for a very long time for the rest of it was 5th grade through graduation. So I attended that school. And so, I remember the only notable things that really happened in elementary school. I was in the GT program, which is like the gifted and talented. I guess it was just my test scores or my map testing or whatever I was testing high, and so I got put into that, and I had some cool memories from that. Me and a buddy of mine at the time named Christopher, we did like a whole project in third or fourth grade on the Civil War. We made like a board game based on the Battle of Gettysburg, and it was really cool. And I remember that my GT teacher, we'll call her Miss H, part of the project we had to like spray paint this wooden board that we had to make the game. Like we painted the pieces, or not the pieces, but like the spots on the board. We painted them by hand, and so we had to do like a base coat with spray paint, and we forgot to put something under the like board, and so we ended up spray painting it on like this mat that sat at the door. Like it was like outside. We were outside doing it, and there was the mat there at the door, so like to track, catch any dirt or whatever before kids went in the building. And we ended up getting it all over that mat thing. Like we got paint all over it, and we didn't get in trouble. Miss H, she actually took it very well. We didn't get in trouble. I heard nothing about it ever for the remainder of my time at that school. So I guess we didn't goof up too bad. But I don't know. That was it. I remember we went to like a middle school too, and we had to like part of this program, we had to like make a website based on like one of our interests. So I did one based on like space, I think. Like I talked about like space and made like a whole website, or it might have even been just like a website for our personal interests in general. I can't quite remember, but I don't remember what it was called either, so I might have a hard time finding that. But if I do, I will definitely put like a link in the description so you can see my ancient website. But that was pretty much it for elementary school. I don't have like a whole bunch of memories from that. And then going into middle school was hard for me because the year before in 5th grade, I had gone to a new school, and then I went through that, and then I had to go through the trauma of going into middle school, which was very scary. Middle school is a whole different ballgame compared to elementary school. And I mean, middle school is really like a preparation for high school. So, elementary school is like basic stuff, but middle school is really where like the school stuff starts, I would say. Like you really get into the meat and potatoes of it. And I remember 6th grade, I had this homeroom teacher who was also my science teacher. Her name was Miss S, and she was a witch. We did not like her at all. In fact, we did a lot of things to torment this woman, honestly. I was never personally like a part of these like hate mobs, but there were people who would like mass report her to the principal. Like they would like purposefully act out so that she would get mad and do something, and then they would go to the principal and like embellish the story so she would get in trouble. And I remember she cried one day at school because of that, and like I felt bad. Like, my class tormented this poor woman. But yeah, kids are evil. That's what I learned in middle school is kids are very evil. They're very selfish, and they don't fight fair at all. So yeah, if you're in middle school, keep that in mind. Kids are evil. But that was like 6th grade. 6th grade, I remember I cried on the first day because I had English homework. I literally cried, and I was like, I don't want to do it. Or, I was upset. I mean, I was not used to having homework on the first day of school. And so that was a little traumatizing, I would say, for me at that point. But I also remember that same day, like that same night that I cried. And I remember thinking, I was like, I have 6 more years of this. Because I was in 6th grade. It had just started. And I was like, I've got 6 more grade levels to go till I'm done. And that was just like devastating to my little heart at the time. Because, I was, like 12? So I was just like horrified. I couldn't even like function. I was like, I have 6 more grade levels to do this. And I hated it. But middle school honestly was not as like middle school sucks because like in middle school you're kind of like discovering who you are a lot. Like you're developing and kind of going into that first stage of like learning kind of who you are and what you're about. And I remember I kind of had like some depression sort of stuff, and it's 6th grade. Like I suffered kind of from depression. It wasn't like depression, but I thought it was. And, that was kind of heavy on me. And then I also had a friend at the time who I was really, really close with. And they ended up like ghosting me in sixth grade, or like, it was right at the end of sixth grade. So it was I felt kind of alone going into seventh grade. But it worked out very well because I had other friends, that I was able to fall back on in a way. And it wasn't like a relationship. I don't want to make it sound like that, but there was a girl that I was friends with, and she kind of ghosted me out of nowhere. And I was not expecting it. And I mean, I don't know. I was probably being some sort of way. I don't know. But she ended up ghosting me out of nowhere, and so I kind of fell back on my friends, and I had actually met my like main friend group that carried on all the way through high school at this point. So this was like seventh grade. So I met Devin. Although I had met Devin, my friend Devin that I've talked about before. I had met him prior, but I got really close with it was Devin and Christian, and then there was another Devin and Kamari. Dustin, shout out to all these people. My homies all the way through high school. But I got close with them, and I always remember like we would sit and play Black Ops 2 on the weekends. And I've talked about that before, so I'm not going to go crazy in depth about that. But like those are some of like my most favorite memories, like honestly so far, just like of my whole like school career. Like even though that's not school related, like the camaraderie and fitting in that I felt at that time in my life was really nice. And so that was seventh grade. I had some pretty cool teachers. There was another teacher named Miss H. She was different. She was my history teacher. She was also my homeroom teacher. She was really cool. Shout out to Miss H. She knows who she is if she's watching this. But that was probably my favorite year for homeroom. And I never had homeroom in high school, so seventh grade was definitely my favorite homeroom year. And it was just a good way all around. Eighth grade was solid, I guess. It was it was cool in the sense that like I kind of developed even more as a person, because in eighth grade I was taking English 1 and Algebra 1, which were both high school classes. So I was taking both of those in eighth grade, and so it was definitely like a little bit more difficult, a little more challenging, but I had my friends, and I got in my first relationship in eighth grade as well. So that was pretty cool, I guess, to know that I was actually like desirable or something like that. I don't know, because up until that point I had never really had a girlfriend before, and so it was cool to, I guess, experience that for the first time. But yeah, eighth grade was probably my favorite year overall in middle school. It was solid. Really can't go wrong. We had a cool project that we did, and I might have talked about this before. I feel like I have. We did a project on the Alaskan bullworm from SpongeBob. We made a roller coaster based on it. And we were in it was like a group project, and like we all had different roles, and it was crazy. Like it was a crazy in-depth project, but it was really, really cool. We got a good grade on it, and it was a really fun project for the end of the year. So that was pretty dope. But that transitions us into high school. High school, being very fresh in my mind still, was very much formative for me as far as developing. Most of my development happened, or at least up to this point, happened in high school. Freshman year was kind of difficult going into high school, having to go in and see all of those people. And the school that I went to was very small in comparison to like a full public high school. Like I don't want to make it sound like I was having to walk all these different buildings and like there were thousands of people, because it wasn't like that. But there were still a lot more people than I was used to seeing in the building, and so all these different groups of people and cliques and everything. And it was very weird being a freshman and being like in the same vicinity as like grown 18-year-old men, with like full beards, kind of like how I am now, although I don't have a full beard yet. But being in the presence of people who were like so much older than me at the time. I was like 14 when I went in. That was kind of scary. I was kind of afraid of them, because I was afraid they were going to pick on me, being a freshman. But freshman year was really good, and a whole highlight overall. And I went great, like grade level by grade level before, but I'm probably just going to talk about high school overall as like as a whole. Um, Going into freshman year, I started band, and I started high school band. I did band in middle school, but high school band was definitely really cool for me. I met some cool people through high school band. I learned a lot about music through high school band. We had the different terms and everything that we had to memorize, and it was a whole bunch of stuff. And I remember we had this one band quiz that was like, oh God, it was like 100 questions. It was like the test was it might have been like the exam or something. It was like all of the terms, all the weekly terms for the whole semester on one test. And it was like 80 to 100 terms. And like, I'm going to be real with y'all. We did it on the computer in the band room. I cheated on that. I Googled every single one because I pulled up, the test was in one tab. And this was before they did all the remote proctoring and everything. This was before like COVID. So, like they didn't have the remote proctoring set up. So like I'd have the test in one tab, and then I would have the answers. It was a big like spreadsheet that I found online that had all the terms with all the definitions. So I'd see the question. It was a multiple choice test. I go over to the spreadsheet, press Control F, which is for find. I'd type in the word, and the definition would be right there. And I did that, and I cheated and got 100 on the test. And I'm not going to deny that happened. That definitely happened. But you do what you got to do. I think everybody cheated on like a test in high school for sure. So it's not just me. I know a bunch of other people who personally did that as well. So that band test, not cool. Mr. R, my band director in high school, who he was a real one. Shout out to him. He knows who he is if he's watching. Don't give that test, man. Why are you doing that? Like 100 questions, kids are going to cheat on that. Because we cheated like on all of them. Like we had the vocab quizzes or whatever. And then I remember in band as well, we also had, being that I was a battery percussionist, I had like rudiment tests, but they would do the scale tests for the brass and woodwinds. And it was really, really cool, I guess, just to learn those rudiments and have to be tested on them. It was very competitive. And I was first chair pretty much all the way through band in high school. I was first chair percussion, which, I don't know. I like drums a lot, and I was really good at them. And I don't know. I haven't played in a long time. I don't have a drum set, but I thought about getting one at some point. So could be in the future another drum set. We'll see. But band definitely had a huge impact on me. The camaraderie, like I have mentioned before, was present there. Made some band friends, people that I had otherwise would probably not have ever been friends with. My friend Aaron, I met in band. My friend Corey, met him in band. It's crazy. Like you meet all these different people in band, and I don't know. Band also kind of took the edge off of being like a freshman or a sophomore and being in the same class with juniors and seniors. Like we were all just kind of chill with one another, even though like grade levels kind of kept to themselves a little bit. Like everybody was fairly nice to you, so that was pretty cool. Some distinct memories from high school that I have. So my English 3 class was taught by this man. And oh my goodness, his name slips me. What was his name? Oh, it doesn't slip me. His name was Mr. J. Mr. J was very young. He was like fresh out of school, I think, honestly. He wasn't like, yeah, he was fresh out of school. He was probably like 24 or 25 years old. Dude was really young. And he was a history major, and he was teaching an English 3 honors class. So, I've heard about that where teachers, like when they get out of school, they are, they kind of teach other subjects, I guess, to kind of get a feel for teaching or something. Or, I guess they have to fill that role. But he was honestly not really a teacher, more so he was just a really chill ass dude who had to be there. He would give us these assignments, and like, he wouldn't even grade them. Like you could like straight up not turn something in, and he would still give you 100 for it. Me and my friend Wyatt, who I got close with in that class, we like would go out in the hallway and just goof off for the whole class period, which was like an hour and a half. And the assignments would start like pretty much at the beginning. We would do like an entry, like the beginning of class, you would do like a journal entry. Like he would put a question up, and you would do like a journal entry. But then after that, we'd go out in the hallway and just goof off for like an hour and a half because, that was really all we could do. That was my freshman year. But my final exam in that class was watching Thor Ragnarok, because the actual final was like this we read The Great Gatsby, and he typed up like this 200 question document or whatever that we had to answer for like the final exam, but like you could just straight up not turn it in and he still gave people hundreds for it. And somehow there were people who were still not passing this guy's class. I got a 99 in his class, and the only reason I didn't get 100 is because he actually graded the first quiz and I got like a 90 on it. But everything else I got 100s on, or I don't even know. I don't even remember what I got on that first quiz. I just know it was the only grade I had that wasn't 100. But that was cool. And then another big one that sticks out was, this is honestly probably going to be like the rest of the video, this last little part here. But I was part of this program in high school. And it was taught by this woman who we'll call Mrs. D. D for dickhead, because this woman was very mean, honestly. Like, the class was pretty much her like experimenting for her dissertation in college. So she was pretty much just using us as guinea pigs. And she started this program, and it was for the highest achieving, performers in this like in your class. And I was part of the first class ever for this program. Like, I was one of the founding like members of this program pretty much. And the first year was honestly really cool. She made the class pretty fun. She had a very I don't know, she had one of those attitudes that was just very hard to get along with, because she was always very confrontational, and like you would be afraid to ask her questions because she always just had like an RBF, and she just kind of acted like a bitch. Like, I mean, I'm not trying to be mean, but it's true. Like, it's how she was, and I don't fault her. She was, she had life stuff going on, so. And she had her moments where she could be really cool, where I kind of felt like she could be like my buddy, but, the second year really ruined that. But the first year of this program was really cool. We ended up going to the Renaissance Festival, which I've talked about before. We went up to some museums up in like the big city near my town, like some really cool museums. And we went on some cool field trips and got to do some cool stuff on school hours, like during class, that otherwise you wouldn't be able to do. Like, we filmed a movie trailer. That was like the first assignment we ever did. And I actually posted it on this channel. It's a unlisted video on this channel, and it was a movie trailer that we made. It was me and like a group of people, and we made it for what book was it? It was Revival by Stephen King. It was the book that I had read over the summer for this class, because part of like the prerequisite work going into it was you had to read a book going into the class and do like a project on it. And so I did Revival by Stephen King, and we ended up making a movie trailer on that, and it was really cringy. Although honestly, like in hindsight, like I watched it not too long ago, and it wasn't terrible. Like it felt the most like a movie trailer out of all the ones that I remember being presented. Like, I don't know, the way I put it together, I was honestly kind of proud of it even now. But yes, that is actually an unlisted video on this channel still. But we did that. That was pretty cool. The first year was pretty cool. But the main point of this class was like, you were going to write your own dissertation in senior year based on this subject that you chose freshman year, like this topic, and it was a long project that culminated in this big like thesis dissertation thing that you were going to submit or whatever. And for one, I do not think that is a good idea, because people's interests change a lot, especially between the ages of 14 and 18. Like, my interest changed hugely. I became hugely into cars at this point, even though prior, like my freshman year, I was not into cars at all. And then my sophomore year, I really got into cars, like, and my interest totally changed. Like, so I felt like that was kind of doomed from the start. But the second year, the one I ended up doing was something like astrophysics based. Like, I think it was like how stars are formed or something like that. I'll have to go back and see, or check in my like my Google Slides, because I remember making a presentation about it. But the second year was awful, guys. Like, it became a big politicized mess, because it became all about, the election, because the election had not been too far removed. The 2016 election was not very far removed at this point. Like, this was the year actually that Donald Trump had actually just been inaugurated 2017, that year when I started this program. And so my sophomore year was the following year. So it was right after, and it was still really controversial, and all the media was all over it, and it became a very political class. And I'm not a big political person. Naturally I was already very hesitant about kind of the nature this was going, because it got up to the point where she would assign us a media outlet and make us analyze an article, and then we would have to generalize whether the source, the media site, had a bias that was more liberal or more conservative, and we were analyzing this, and it got really pseudo brainwashy-esque, where we were reading through these things, and it almost made it seem like some opinions were right and some were wrong. That's kind of the point that it got to, and obviously I wasn't cool with that. And so it was because of the overt politicization and the lack of inclusion. It was me and a few of my friends stepped out of the program. We left because we didn't want to be in that kind of environment, and we felt that it was unfair that things were being pushed on us like that. And so we left, and that was honestly one of the best decisions I made, because it freed up a spot in my schedule, and it also allowed me to kind of take more classes that were actually beneficial to my graduation. But that class was not it. But the only thing, this will probably be the last little bit of this video, because let me check. We are at 36 minutes. So honestly, not too far. I thought it would be longer than that. But the project that we did in my sophomore year in this class, or in this program, was really, really dope. We made a podcast, and obviously it was me and it was my friends. It was me, Tanner, Kosha, and Wyatt. We were the dream team. And so we made this podcast, and I guess, I don't know, it's foreshadowing for this podcast in a way, because I was making podcasts and we were talking about stuff back then. And so I don't know, I guess in a sense that was really where I discovered my I don't know, not my love for speaking and doing stuff like this, but I kind of it kind of sparked my interest in doing a podcast. And it took me a very long time to get to the point where I was comfortable doing it and knew even what I was going to do and talk about. But there are quite a few, even back then I had been thinking about starting my own podcast, and had watched videos on how to do it and all that stuff. So it was cool that I got to get some experience with that. And a distinct memory I remember from that is during the main meat and potatoes of that semester was spent, we spent it recording the podcast. So me, Ethan, Wyatt, and Tanner, we would all go out to Tanner's car in the parking lot, and we would just sit and screw around, watch YouTube, and just do absolutely nothing for 4 weeks, because she gave us an obscene amount of time to record these episodes. We did 2 episodes, and we got 3 weeks each or something like that. It was ridiculous. So we would goof off until the last week, and then on the last 2 days we would actually record the episode, and we get pretty decent grades on it, because I would actually put some effort into trying to make it sound professional. So even though our podcast was just goofed off and off the script completely, I spent some time mixing the audio and making it sound really good, so it sounded like there was more effort put into it, and we ended up getting good grades for that. And I actually mixed the audio for a few other groups, or one other group at least that I remember. But that was pretty cool, the podcast part and recording them. But the memory I had was we spent the 3 weeks, like I said, we would just kind of goof off. And I remember one time it got to the point where we would just lay in Tanner's car, no homo, but we would lay in Tanner's car, and we would lay in his back seats would fold down or whatever, and like I would like lay in the trunk, or so we would like compete for the trunk because the trunk was cooler than the rest of the car. And so we would just like try to compete for the trunk. So like I'd be laying in the back seat and somebody be in the front seat and then somebody be in the trunk, and then Tanner would just be sitting in the driver's seat. It was kind of like really, I don't know, it was kind of funny. But it was definitely something to behold, seeing all four of us crammed in that car, laying in the trunk. And I remember one time I was laying in the trunk and he actually drove the car around the parking lot and he hit the speed bumps, and like I was like, oh god, it was uncomfortable. But we parked and I survived, and that was cool, riding in the trunk. And I guess another thing from high school too, that kind of concludes the whole program thing I was talking about. But another last good memory from high school that I have was playing ultimate frisbee. I was part of the ultimate frisbee club in high school, which if your school has it, I highly recommend checking it out. It's honestly really cool, and it was made even more cool by the fact that Mr. K, the teacher that I had, who he was my physics teacher and my chemistry teacher, but my chemistry and physics teacher, but he also was the, proctor of ultimate frisbee or whatever. Like, I don't know. He was the guy that like ran it, his club or whatever. And he was really cool. He was a really dope guy, really chill. He would actually let me practice driving stick in his car because he had a stick shift Kia Forte, and I hadn't driven stick very much in a long time at that point. And so I ended up practicing in his car, and I don't know, it was useful. I guess it definitely taught me a lot, or got me back up to snuff, at least with driving manual. But I actually went back out to the Ultimate Frisbee Club like earlier this, like last month, like in October, like at the beginning of October. I think I went out and hung out for a little bit and caught up. And there's a lot more people that are doing it now, which I think is really cool. But when I was doing it, there were like, we would be good if we was like 5 people that would come out, or 6 people that would show up. But they had like, 7, 8. They were able to do like 5-on-5 even. Like they were having full teams. So it was really cool to see the turnout, because back when I played, nobody would show up consistently. But if your school has an Ultimate Frisbee Club, I highly recommend checking it out, because it's honestly really cool. You can meet some cool people, and honestly, Ultimate Frisbee is just kind of like a lot of fun to play. And if it's anything like how my club was, like it's more like a time like you just kind of goof off and just have fun, and it's like a cool way to burn some stress after school, and you get some exercise too. But that wasn't really my priority at the time, but it was still fun. But that was high school. High school was definitely very formative. Like I said, it had a big impact on me, and I'm not so far removed from high school now. But I went through a lot of things in high school. I had a lot of ups and downs, a lot of heartbreak, I guess, that I went through, a lot of rough patches. But you come out and you learn and you improve as a person, and that's really what it's about. So college is definitely a very different ball game. I find in college I'm not very social. Like I don't really meet anybody, and I think a lot of that has to do with the fact that a lot of it's like a hybrid class. So you've got the hybrid, like you attend virtually or you go if you want to. So, the class I actually have to attend, there's only like one guy that I really talk to. That's my English class, and his name's DeAndre. He's pretty cool. Shout out to DeAndre. But other than that, that's like the only people that I really know in college. So, and I guess going to a technical school, it's different, but I have work and stuff, so I guess my focus isn't really as much on making friends. But college is definitely very different. It's a lot more freeing, at least going the route that I'm going. It's very nice to have some freedom with your schedule and to be able to do things that you enjoy and have more time to not only have to spend your whole life focusing on school the way it is like K through 12, but that really covers it as far as like my experiences with school and just kind of things that I've been through. I would say my favorite classes that I took overall in my entirety of school was English 3 was really cool. Band, like I said. I liked all of my English classes really. Like I didn't, other than English in 7th grade, everything past that, I honestly enjoyed my English classes a lot. Let's see, my English class, English 4 in sophomore year was pretty cool, especially because I remember reading Beowulf, and Beowulf is where me and Devin have got our band inspiration for Grindal, our band. So It's pretty cool. But all my English classes, like I said, I had some cool math classes. My Algebra 2 class, Dr. B, the man, I miss that dude. I wish I could go have a conversation with him, but he changed schools and I don't really know where he ended up now. So Dr. B was the legend, and he was a real strict ass teacher, but he was buddy buddy with me. I would talk to him like as a buddy, and we had like inside jokes and stuff, and he was always really cool with me. So shout out to Dr. B, love that man. He was a dope teacher. As far as like my least favorite classes, AP Human Geography stands out, not because I didn't like the class, but because the teacher, her name was Mrs. H, another Mrs. H. There's a lot of Mrs. H's that I've had. But she was an older lady. She actually moved to Cyprus after my school year. That was my freshman year. She moved to the country Cyprus after that year. So I hope she's doing well. She was always okay in my experience, but overall, I can't really say I remember a whole bunch about that class. It was more like I took it, passed it, moved on. But that was definitely probably up there. AP, what was it? AP US History. Ooh. Another no. That was her. That teacher was Mrs. L. She made it a really unfortunate time, and I had another teacher that the start of that semester. I had a teacher for that class named Mr. T, but he ended up getting a different job like halfway through the year, and he left, and Mrs. L came in and replaced him. Mr. T was really dope. Mrs. L was okay. She had her moments, but overall she was not very pleasant to be around. And then the worst class I ever took, this is the worst class I ever took, was pre-calculus honors my junior year with Mrs. R. And so to all of the people who are watching this video who know what I'm talking about, there are no words to describe the hell that class was. We literally had a black market for homework. My buddy Dale, who was actually very competent when it came to math, unlike me. I mean, I'm good at math, but not that kind of math. But Dale ended up doing the homework to the best of his abilities, and he would distribute the answers out to us, and we would try to figure out what he missed, if he missed any, based on the grade he got, and then we would distribute it outwards, and it was like a black market. It was awful, and we hated her. And in hindsight, she was probably a fresh teacher in a new environment, and she was trying to figure it out, and she was just not doing a good job. But she was awful. She had a few mental meltdowns through the year where she would just yell and scream at us, and it was not fun. And I mean, we weren't even a bad class. Like, we just didn't like her, and she knew that. And we ended up having like a pre-cal support group before school. Every single day in the computer lab, we would go there because the pre-cal room was like right across the hall from the computer lab. So we would all just pile up in there, everybody in that class, and do the homework right before and submit it. And oh God, it was awful. Pre-cal, I hated that class. Never again will I ever take a math class like that. But yeah, I mean, that pretty much sums up everything that I think I kind of wanted to cover in this deep dive. I hope you all enjoyed this episode. It was definitely a lot of fun to make and to kind of reflect and look back on moments from my school. It's something I don't have a whole lot of time to do, with work and everything. So being able to look back and, think about some fond memories and stuff is kind of cool, and some not so fond ones as well. But yeah, I hope this video finds y'all in a positive place and a positive mindset. And if not, just know that y'all are stronger than your circumstances and you'll make it through. But with that being said, this has been A New Direction. I'm Colin, and I hope y'all have a good rest of your evening. Stay chill, and I will see y'all next time. All right, bye-bye.